Hello everyone. In this video you can learn about some differences between English and Spanish punctuation. Let's start. What is punctuation? Punctuation is the system of symbols that we use to separate written sentences and parts of sentences, to make their meaning clear. And each symbol is called a punctuation mark. The importance of and rules of punctuation vary from language to language. In English and Spanish, punctuation is essential to allow the reader to understand the writer's meaning. When do you use quotation marks? Quotation marks, also known as quotes or inverted commas, are used to indicate direct speech and quotations. For example, "How do you do?" said the gentleman. In Spain, the most common style for quotation marks is similar to English, with double quotation marks. But, the main difference between Spanish and English is that added commas and periods in Spanish go outside the quotation marks, while in American English they go inside the quotation marks.
When do you use an apostrophe?
An apostrophe is the mark when it is written to indicate that one or more letters have been left out of the word. An apostrophe has two main functions. First, it shows that a letter, or letters, has been omitted from a word in a contraction. For example, "It's not ready yet." Also, it is used to make a noun possessive. For example, "The dog's feet are muddy." Parentheses are used in a similar way to commas when we want to add explanations. Additional ideas or comments that are related to the main idea expressed but have a distinctive character. Let's see some examples.
They are also used to display options or alternatives. For example, a goat should give from 3 to 6 pints, 1.7 to 3.4 liters, of milk a day.
Note that when the overall structure of the sentence requires punctuation after a fragment in parentheses, the sentence will go outside of them. For example,
"I haven't yet spoken to John. I mean John Maple, my boss. But I have a meeting with him on Friday." And dash. It is used to indicate a range or range of value. For example, from X to Y, and the preceding and following spaces are omitted. If you're not sure whether or not you should use it, you can replace it with the preposition to. Let's see some examples. Pages 56 to 70. Carlos Fuentes. 1928 to 2012. Flight 630. Mexico Paris. In dashes, can replace commas, parentheses, semicolons, and colons within informal writing. In many cases the in dash works better than the simple comma, since it separates an important idea, comment or clarification, from the rest of the sentence. In addition, it indicates emphasis, an interruption or sudden change of thought. Examples: "I take action, they get the results. I wish you would, oh, never mind."
Ellipses. They are used to indicate omission or an interrupted speech. For example, if you're quoting a long speech, but just want to highlight an important idea and not the entire text, you use the ellipses to indicate where you've shortened the words or sentences. We can use the ellipses to focus on the idea we want to share and indicate that there are some omissions. Let's see an example. "And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. Ask not what America will do for you, but what, together, we can do for the freedom of man."
Colons. In English and Spanish, colons are used to stop the flow of text and discourse and to draw the reader's or speaker's attention to something that comes next, which will always be closely related to what has been said. It is commonly used to introduce textual quotations. For example, "They stole everything. The jewelry, the clothes, the money, about the semicolon." In English and Spanish it is used to join two sentences in a single phrase, introducing an intermediate pause between two sentences when there is parallelism or contrast between them. It is useful in cases where you do not want to repeat the sentence subject. For example, "They were late, they didn't get cake!" Exclamation mark. The exclamation or exclamation mark shows strong emphasis or strong emotion. It is rarely used in formal writing. In English it is used at the end of a short sentence. That expresses a very strong feeling. Do not use an exclamation point unless absolutely necessary. Use an exclamation point after an exclamation, especially after an exclamation that begins with what or how. In Spanish it takes an open exclamation point and ends with a closed exclamation point, while in English we only use a closed exclamation point at the end. Examples: stop it, I've finally finished my homework.
The question mark indicates that a question is being asked, that the speaker or writer is looking for an answer to something. In Spanish, the use of question marks marks the beginning and the end of a question formulated in a direct way. For example, ¿Qué quieres? In English, the question mark goes only at the end of the question. What time does the movie start?